Are you stuck in the same problematic loop no matter how many self-help books you've read or how many affirmations you recite? Maybe you've spent years on a healing journey, but you're still struggling to feel your best and to manifest the life that you want. You feel like you just keep spinning your wheels and you're exhausted and you're confused about why nothing is really changing or why changes don't last. If that resonates with you, you're not alone. So many people make their healing journey harder than it needs to be. And in today's episode, we're going to discuss why that happens and what you can do to start healing smarter and not harder. Welcome to The Simple Source, your source for all things self-love, self-healing, personal growth, and spirituality. I'm your host, Linda Valines. I used to be chronically sick and unhappy. I spent years trying anything and everything to heal, but I never got better. It wasn't until my late husband was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer that I finally stopped searching for the answers outside of myself and turned within. I taught myself how to truly love and heal myself, how to finally be authentically healthy and happy, mind, body, and soul. I have over 10 years of personal and professional self-healing and teaching experience. I'm a trauma-informed, certified holistic health and wellness coach, certified Ayurveda counselor, and author. I healed myself of a lifetime of complex traumas and chronic conditions with joy and ease. Now I'm teaching you to do the same. So if you're ready to heal and love yourself more, mind, body, and soul, without all the struggle and stress, and with more joy and productivity, join me to liberate your highest, healthiest, and happiest self and learn how to thrive more simply. Let's get started with today's episode. This is an extremely important episode, so if you're multitasking, I'm going to ask you to stop and I'm going to invite you to open your mind and your heart because I'm going to reveal why you're struggling to heal and how you can start healing more effortlessly and effectively. This episode is going to be an eye-opener, and if you heed the information that I'm about to share, this really could be the turning point in your healing journey to becoming your healthiest and happiest and most authentic self. So let's get started. Healing is often exhausting and confusing and unproductive and costly and full of ups and downs. If you've tried various strategies and you've spent your time and your resources on all the trends and all the things, but still the same problems keep coming up, there's a reason for that. And the reason lies in the way that most people approach healing. Many people rely on willpower, positive thinking alone, and surface level tactics, hoping that those things are going to create meaningful and lasting change. But all of those strategies require so much more energy than necessary because they don't actually address the root cause of your problems. That means that you're going to be expending a lot of your resources for very little reward, which is why you're stuck, why the same problems persist, and why healing is so hard. So the root of your problems and why you're on a healing journey in the first place, it's not a lack of willpower. It's not a lack of positive thinking or you eating the right diet or having the right exercise program. If you have a conscious desire to get healthy, to heal your traumas, to heal your relationships, etc. But the effort that you make on the surface is not producing the outcomes that you want. It's because your conscious desires do not match your subconscious narratives or programming. Your subconscious controls 95% of your life, not your conscious mind. So today in this episode, we're going to discuss why subconscious healing work is so valuable to a productive and enjoyable healing journey. We're going to talk about mental coherence and why building a relationship with the parts of yourself that live in your subconscious, like your inner child, like your shadow, are the keys to stopping the struggle and the stressing to heal so that you can actually achieve the health and the happiness and the life that you deserve and desire. We're also going to discuss why understanding your core beliefs and their origins are crucial and and how focusing on the root cause of your issues instead of the surface symptoms really truly makes all the difference. So I spent years on a healing journey, struggling, desperate, and not getting anywhere. I tried all the diets and the programs. I read all the books and the blogs and the medical papers. You've heard me say this over and over again. I did all the stuff, but I never healed. Why is that? Because I was just managing the surface symptoms. I was not addressing the root cause. The truth was my body was traumatized because I was traumatized, meaning my mind was stuck in a trauma narrative that was never corrected, never healed, never resolved, because I had a lifetime of suppressed and denied emotions and fears. And because I rejected myself and abandoned myself in the process of quote unquote surviving. And only when I turned within, only when I started developing a loving relationship with myself and my emotions and became curious about my trauma narratives and then committed to nurturing my inner life, did I finally begin to heal. It was when I focused more on the deeper subconscious conditioning rather than the surface level manifestations. It was only then that real and lasting change happened. What we experience as symptoms, whether they're mental, like overanalyzing, that was me for a long time, or choosing people who don't choose us, that was also me for a minute, or emotional, like needing to be in control, or physical, like binging, over-exercising. Those are symptoms. Those are just manifestations of deeper issues. They are not the real problem. The real problem is why you overanalyze, why you choose the wrong people for you, why you feel like you need to be in control, why you binge junk food, why you obsess about your appearance. It's not because you lack willpower. It's not because you're broken. It's not because something is wrong with you. It's because there is a subconscious narrative and belief system formed from unresolved fears, traumas, and stressful experiences that were never healed. Healing is a lot harder when it needs to be because many people approach healing with limiting beliefs and fears. So they operate from those limiting beliefs and fears. And those limiting beliefs and fears are often healing is hard. You have to struggle to get what you want in life. Fears of being seen, fears of failing, fears of not being enough, fears of being found to be unlovable. Those limiting beliefs and fears dictate a lot of people's healing journeys and makes them desperate. It makes them try so hard. And yet healing is ultimately unproductive and unsatisfying. Also, people want healing to fix them. People expect healing to validate them. When I heal, then I will be enough. When I heal, then I will be lovable. When I heal, then I will be someone in life worth something. You fill in the blank. And so when you're approaching your healing journey from those limiting beliefs and fears and from that need for external validation, you are innately making your healing journey more difficult than it needs to be because you're not actually healing from an empowered and authentic place. You're healing from your wounds. You're healing as your wounded self as opposed to your authentic self and from your highest truths. And so then, of course, your healing journey is going to lead you to more people who are going to be stressful, make you struggle, cause you to feel like you are not enough and are not lovable. And when you're trying to just heal the surface, the symptoms, the manifestations, and you're not actually addressing the root cause, of course, healing is going to be hard because you're not really getting to the root of the root. It's like pulling weeds and not pulling the root out. A weed is just going to grow back and you got to do the whole thing again. And so you have to truly get to the root of your problems if you want to heal. If you continue to manage symptoms, you're not going to heal because managing symptoms is not the same thing as healing. Managing symptoms is managing symptoms, which means you have to manage those symptoms for the rest of your life. Also, another way that people make healing harder than it needs to be is relying on willpower, positive thinking alone, and quick fix solutions. And that's a lot of what we're going to be talking about today. Another way that people make healing harder than it needs to be is believing in common misconceptions about healing, like healing is a linear process, meaning, oh, just go here and there, do this, eat that, do this exercise program and in 90 days, I'm going to be healed. Or that healing is just like a temporary sojourn where it's just something you kind of do for a year and then you're healed. Another common misconception is that diet and lifestyle are everything. And if you're not eating the right diet, then that's why you have anxiety or et cetera, fill in the blank. Another misconception is that the mind and the body are not connected, that physical health is separate from mental and emotional health. Another misconception is that we can simply think positive and bypass our pain. That's called spiritual bypassing. And another misconception is that external solutions solve internal problems, meaning like if I'm unhappy with my relationship, it's the other person. So I'm going to break up with you and find the right person. But the catch is, friend, you are the common denominator in your life. And that was something that I really had to come to terms with and accept after years and years of trying all the things, reading all the stuff, consuming all the content, and I wasn't healing. And then my husband was diagnosed with late stage cancer and then I was really forced to examine my own well-being because he had a 2-year prognosis, and that meant it was very likely that he would be gone in 2 years. And I didn't want to be unhealthy and unhappy with the remaining time that I had with him. And so I really had to ask myself, why wasn't I healing? Why wasn't I getting better? Why was healing so hard for me? And it was because of that very simple thing that I was expecting external quote unquote solutions to solve internal problems. And I'm not saying that I all of a sudden blamed myself for me being unhealthy and unhappy for my life. It was the realization of, oh, I'm actually the common denominator in all of this. It doesn't matter who I'm with. It doesn't matter where I was in my life. I was unhealthy and unhappy because I was unhealthy. I was unhappy with myself. So if you're feeling stuck and you're experiencing the same repetitive issues, despite trying various strategies, if you experience a lot of emotional instability, meaning a lot of emotional ups and downs, if you experience a lot of periods of stagnation where just there's no progress, you're unmotivated, nothing's happening, it's the same old, and if you have an overall sense of exhaustion from all the effort that you've been putting into your healing journey, but you're also like really disappointed from the lack of progress, and also if you're just confused from not understanding why your efforts aren't working, you're struggling to heal. That's all indicative of struggling to heal and not using your healing time and energy and investment in a productive and meaningful way that actually does address the root cause or gets to the root of why you have issues in the first place. So those struggles often stem from addressing only the surface symptoms rather than going to the underlying root cause. Because what happens is you sometimes get like temporary relief, oh, I changed my diet and oh, I feel good for like, a few months. Or you get into a new relationship and it's like, oh, this person doesn't make me feel as awful as so-and-so. Or you get, a new job and you're like, oh, I feel like temporarily less depressed. And then eventually though, because you haven't actually healed your relationship with yourself, the physical conditions come back, the relationship dissatisfaction comes back, the depression, the anxiety comes back. Also, those struggles stem from people lacking healing skills and lacking a healing foundation. And so if you're unprepared to do healing work, healing is going to suck. It's not going to be fun. It's going to be intimidating because you're going to be out of your league, so to speak. You're going to be trying to do inner child work or resolving your traumas, and yet you have no idea how to regulate your own nervous system. You don't even really love yourself or trust yourself. You don't know how to self-soothe. You are not in command of your emotional life or mental life, and yet you're trying to do all this deep, heavy healing work. And so, of course, it's going to be unproductive. And of course, you're going to struggle because you lack the foundational healing skills and you lack the foundation in general to heal safely and productively. And that's why so many people feel intimidated and overwhelmed about healing. And then what happens is you start trying to will yourself and motivate yourself and and use all of those surface level tactics, like positive thinking. I'm just going to say affirmations. I'm going to say affirmations. And you keep trying all the biohacks. But again, none of that is going to create an enjoyable or productive healing journey or process. Willpower, positive thinking, all of those surface level tactics, they fail because they only address the conscious mind. They only address the surface level issues. They don't reach the deep-seated beliefs and the traumas and fears and emotions that are stored in your subconscious. So willpower is like you trying to use your conscious mind to override deep subconscious programming. That's essentially what willpower is, right? Like, I'm going to use my conscious mind to do this thing that deep down I really don't want to do. And some people have more willpower reserves than others for various reasons, but that method, that tactic takes a very long time because it requires a lot of repetition and it requires a lot of energy. And that's why it's ineffective, because most people end up giving up whatever it is they're trying to achieve before they really create neuroplasticity for themselves. And positive thinking is great. It's actually necessary in life, but often it's spiritual bypassing, where people use positive thinking to avoid doing deeper, meaningful healing work, to avoid acknowledging their fears and traumas, to avoid resolving the parts of themselves that need the most attention and love in a holistic and meaningful manner. And all the surface level tactics like biohacks and dietary changes and other lifestyle changes like changing your exercise routine or your sleep routine, it's important, but they're also surface level. They don't affect your subconscious programming. And this is another reason why talk therapy is often ineffective, meaning that problems still persist for people who have a therapist for a long time. And it just goes to reinforce what I say over and over again is knowing is not the same thing as healing. You can gain a conscious awareness and a conscious understanding of your issues, but that's not the same thing as healing them. So that's why talking about our problems only has so many benefits, right? Talk therapy is great. I love therapy, but I also understand that it has limitations, that it's not in and of itself going to heal me. It's part of the healing process. Sometimes I'm in therapy, sometimes I'm not in therapy. It really depends on what's going on in my life. Sometimes it's beneficial, other times it's not. But ultimately, I always understand its purpose, and its purpose is not to heal me. It's to provide me a space to talk through consciously, develop a more clear, conscious adult understanding of what I want to process. It doesn't heal me on a subconscious level because it can't. So this brings me to subconscious healing work and why it is the game changer. So accessing the subconscious mind and doing subconscious healing work involves deeper practices like meditation, inner child work, shadow work, which allow you to connect to the parts of yourself that are truly driving the behavioral patterns and the emotional responses, trauma responses that are causing the problems in your life. And that's why subconscious healing work is far more effective and quicker and creates lasting change with less effort in the long run. You're not trying to beat yourself into submission or wear yourself down in order to heal. You're going straight to the source. You're going straight to the root. So your subconscious controls your nervous system when you're unconscious, meaning you're not thinking consciously, which is about 95% of the time. It's most of the time. Your nervous system dictates your holistic state of being, friend. So that means whether or not you feel safe or unsafe, regulated or dysregulated, calm or stressed. That's all reflected in your nervous system, which is just a mirror of your subconscious programming, and or whether or not you are truly present and conscious in the moment. So many people use willpower and all of those conscious spiritual bypassing tactics, basically using the conscious mind to try to understand what is happening on a deep core subconscious level. A lot of people do that to try to facilitate change, but their nervous systems are chronically dysregulated because of deep subconscious narratives that are just looping from unresolved traumas and fears and unprocessed emotions. And so, of course, healing isn't going to happen using that willpower and those spiritual bypassing tactics. It can't happen from a neuroscientific or physiological level. And this brings me to mental coherence, which is not a term you've probably heard unless you're familiar with Bruce Lipton's work or Joe Dispenza, but really is essential for learning how to heal smarter and not harder, because that nervous system dysregulation is still present in you, regardless of how much willpower or conscious spiritual bypassing tactics you're trying or putting your time and your energy to. And those two things are in conflict with each other. So mental coherence is a state where your conscious mind, your subconscious mind, and your superconscious mind are in harmony and agreeance. So that's when you consciously want something and your subconscious narratives and beliefs are aligned with that desire, and your superconscious mind or your higher consciousness or your highest self are also in agreement. That's when life is easy and you get what you want without struggle, without hardship, because you're no longer at war with yourself. Meaning one part of you wants something, but another part of you doesn't believe that you deserve it or are worthy of it or somehow scared of it. Mental coherence is when your thoughts and your emotions and your actions are aligned with your highest truth, with your highest good. That's true harmony. That's true inner peace. And mental coherence is essential for healing, undeniably, because it allows you to function from a place of clarity, from a place of harmony, and thus balance, which makes it easier to develop a healing relationship with yourself and to address and heal your traumas with productivity, with empowerment, because you have so much more energy and resources to do just that because you're no longer at war with yourself. A lack of mental coherence is why you can consciously desire something, but then you end up self-sabotaging in the process of getting the thing that you desire. Does that sound familiar? So many people, that's their story. It's why your efforts to manifest are not working. It's why the same problems persist in your life despite you trying to resolve them or despite you being in therapy for over 5 years. It's why you can talk about something like you have a conscious awareness of what the problem is, but the problem still exists in your life because your subconscious narratives and beliefs and programming supersede your conscious desires and awareness. That's why your subconscious mind is just simply more powerful and influential than your conscious mind. A lot of people are not aware of this because we're so stuck in the conscious neocortex sort of cultural programming where it's like logic, rules, right? And we forego the emotional, intuitive, and primal parts of ourselves. But the conscious mind can only handle approximately 50 bits of information per second, whereas the subconscious mind can handle up to 400 billion bits per second. I mean, there's no contest there, friend. It's your subconscious that creates and controls your reality. So your reticular activating system, which is a bundle of nerves at the base of your brain, one of its main functions, it has many functions, but one of its main functions is to filter your reality based on your subconscious beliefs. This is very important to understand. There's so much information that we are exposed to on a moment-by-moment basis. And in order to stay sane, our brain has this built-in functionality that helps us stay sane by matching our reality to our core subconscious beliefs, because beliefs are, by definition, what we deem to be true. So isn't that an ingenious design? Where our brain uses our core beliefs, what we deem to be true, to filter our reality so we can stay sane today. So brilliant. That process, the RAS, filtering our reality based on our core subconscious beliefs, that's then reflected in our consciousness, in our behavior, in our motivation, etc. And that's one of the ways that the subconscious has primacy over the conscious mind. So now the question is, how do you access those core subconscious beliefs and who do they belong to? So let's first understand when your subconscious mind was formed. So from ages 0 to 7, you did not have a fully formed conscious mind, meaning the conscious part of your mind, the neocortex, wasn't fully developed. That happens like 8 and over. So from ages 0 to 7, you were basically fully operating from the limbic part of the brain and cerebellum. That means that your core subconscious beliefs, the foundation of your subconscious programming, the heart of it belongs to your inner child, ages 0 to 7. So that means that you, in order to heal smarter and not harder, you have to connect with the subconscious parts of yourself, your inner child, your outer child, which is your inner teenager, and your shadow, in order to heal more productively and get out of that stuckness and the repetitiveness and the nothing's changing even though I'm trying so hard. So connecting with your inner child, with your outer child, with your shadow, that's going to help you understand and integrate all the different parts of yourself that have been hurt, that have been wounded, that have been traumatized. Those are the parts of you that need the most healing because they are fundamental to that core subconscious programming that determines 95% of your reality in life. Your inner child really is the key to you understanding why the same patterns and why the same problems plague you, why you try so hard to heal but nothing changes, why you don't make progress, or why nothing good seems to last. Because your inner child was purely operating from the subconscious parts of your brain, your life experiences from ages 0 to 7 are the foundation for your subconscious programming. Your brain doesn't even fully develop until you're in your mid-20s. And so if you want to know why healing is a struggle for you, then you have to become curious about the experiences that were repeated, that made a strong emotional impact on you, that caused you significant distress when you were a child, when you were an adolescent and a teenager. What you witnessed, what was modeled to you, either overtly or subtly, what was taught to you by your parents, by your caregivers, by teachers, by your religion, by your community, all of that formed your subconscious programming. So if you have many adverse childhood experiences, which is like so many people, most people, which are all traumatic in some small or large way, then your subconscious programming is rooted in fear and stress and unprocessed negative emotions and limiting beliefs and low self-worth. And then that programming was reinforced because you didn't have the awareness to challenge it or the tools to change it. And so the loops and the narratives that were formed in those formative years from traumatic experiences, stresses, all of that negative conditioning from your caregivers and teachers, etc., that tell you that you're not safe in the world, that you're not safe as your authentic self, that the world isn't safe, that your emotions aren't safe, that it's not safe to be seen, that you have to struggle to get what you want in life, that the people you love hurt you, that you can't trust people, that you're bad, that you're broken, that you're not enough, that you're ugly, that you're unlovable, that you deserve punishment. All of that gets reinforced. And so if that's your subconscious narrative, then that's what is going to be filtered as your reality by your brain. That's just how our brains work. So if you want to stop struggling to heal and you want to heal smarter and not harder, then you need to go to the subconscious source of your problems and stop wasting your time and energy on exhausting yourself with purely conscious effort. That means you have to prioritize inner healing work and develop a relationship with your inner child and your outer child, again, which is your inner teenager, and your shadow, which is the parts of yourself that you reject and deny and judge and hide because you deem them unlovable and you're ashamed of them. And you have to learn how to connect with those parts of yourself in a way that matters, meaning not using affirmations, but rather in a meditative state where you can actually access your subconscious mind, because those parts of you are parts of your subconscious. So that means getting yourself into an alpha or theta brainwave state, which are meditative and hypnotic states. And that's why I have over 100 guided meditations and somatic exercises in my program, because the subconscious healing work is the healing work that makes the difference in the long run. And because in a meditative state, it's the easiest and most accessible way to do that subconscious healing work. So by acknowledging and healing your subconscious parts, and then you can create mental coherence. And then naturally, you're going to experience greater joy, greater ease in your life because you're not in conflict with yourself, but you're in harmony. And that's also like a kind of roundabout way of explaining neuroplasticity a little bit. But that's what neuroplasticity is. It's you changing your brain. It's you changing your neural networking. And it's such a critical aspect of productive healing is changing that old programming. Your brain isn't stuck. Your subconscious isn't static. Your core narratives and your beliefs can change. You're designed for them to change. So you can either say affirmations thousands upon thousands upon thousands of times until you are blue in the face and out of breath to create and strengthen neural pathways, because that is one way to do it. Or you can just go to the source and heal your inner child in a meditative state and save yourself the time and energy and start enjoying greater well-being more quickly. I advocate for the latter. Listen, affirmations are great. I've used affirmations a fuck ton. They're wonderful. I'm not trying to shit on affirmations because they're wonderful, but they are a long-winded road to get you where you want to get to when you could take a shortcut. Affirmations are really great for directing our conscious mind in the present moment. They're great for feeling empowered in the present moment, but they're really not that effective for healing deep core patterns and unresolved traumas and wounds that just innately reside in your subconscious. They don't get you into an alpha or theta brainwave state. So it's vital to shift your focus away from the conscious willpower and spiritual bypassing tactics and invest in deeper subconscious healing work, because the reality is your subconscious programming takes precedence over your conscious mind. That's just how you're designed. That's how your brain works. And not only is the subconscious mind evolutionarily older and more powerful in its ability to process and filter information, but most people are unconscious in their waking life. Most people live on autopilot. They're not truly aware, not truly present, not truly conscious. And when you're not conscious, guess who's in charge? Your subconscious. So yeah, the conscious mind can override the subconscious when you are fully present. It does have the capability to do that. When you become conscious, you can make different choices that override subconscious patternings, but that presence and those different choices, they have to be reinforced. They have to be reinforced. They have to be reinforced. That's the problem with that tactic. It requires a fuck ton of willpower that a lot of people struggle with. And so it's just ineffective in the long run. Because on a subconscious level, what's really going on is that you don't believe, for whatever reasons, for whatever traumas, from whatever experiences and unprocessed emotions, you don't believe that you're worthy or deserving or good enough or lovable enough for what you want. And so when you're trying to use willpower and all that spiritual bypassing, your conscious mind is battling with your subconscious programming, your conscious desires. The conscious affirmations are battling with the subconscious programming that has been ingrained in you since you were born. And depending on how old you are, that's decades to many decades. I love the math there. That's a long time, okay? So in that battle, the subconscious will always win. So here's your action step for the week. You have to become curious about the core beliefs that you have about yourself and where those beliefs come from. Because again, beliefs are by definition what we deem to be true. And then also ask and answer for yourself, what does your current reality mirror about what you do not have but want? And then ask and answer for yourself, what is the origin of the stories of why you can't have the things that you want and the origin of those beliefs? And lastly, you have to commit to meditating and journaling and prioritizing a healing practice that honors your subconscious parts, meaning your inner child, your outer child, your shadow, and affects your nervous system in a meaningful way. And then also gives you the tools for you to do that productively and safely. That's key. And there's no better place to do that than in the Source membership, which is my comprehensive, super amazing, step-by-step holistic self-healing program that teaches you everything you need to know to realize your healthiest, happiest, and highest self with joy and ease, and focuses on the subconscious healing work. because that's the work that matters in the long run, because healing doesn't need to take a lifetime. Healing certainly doesn't need to be a struggle. In fact, healing is really simple and is definitively meant to be joyful and a liberation. And that is what you deserve. So I really hope to see you in the Source membership. It's an entirely unique and special program. It is everything that you want and more. Thank you so much for joining me today in The Simple Source. I hope this episode has inspired you, reminded you of your healing power, and reawakened you to who your true and highest self is. If the show has empowered and enlightened your self-love, growth, and healing journey, please share this episode, leave a positive review on Apple or Spotify, and subscribe to be reminded of new episodes. I am so grateful for your presence, and all of your comments and your support are seen and read and deeply appreciated. They really do help this show so much. Also, sign up for my newsletter, The Weekly Source, to get more healing tips, motivation stories, and to get to know me better. And if you haven't read my book, Unconditional, You Are Perfect As You Are, I invite you to get your copy today and start reading. And lastly, I would love to see you inside my Source membership, the only holistic and comprehensive step-by-step self-healing program that is proven to work. It's time to stop struggling to heal and time to learn how to thrive more simply and joyfully. All the links are in the show notes. Thanks again for joining me today, and I will see you next time.